Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Yes, guys, welcome to the channel, guys. We are Journey with Us,
Mm-hmm.
family of seven here in Africa. We've been here in Africa for uh, 4 years, going on 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in this video, we're going to be sharing our experience on how we overcome certain things to be successful here in Africa. So stay tuned.
Yep. So we were doing homeschool this morning and we were talking to our children.
Mhm.
We like to do check-ins and see where they're at, how they're feeling. We're like, hey, do you guys miss Tanzania? Do you miss going to school in Tanzania? And they were like, no, we don't. And I was like, why not? Like, tell me more. Why don't you miss going to school in Tanzania? And our daughter, she was like, in school, they would always be yelling and hitting the children, and our children are quiet, and so typically they wouldn't be getting in trouble. But she would say she would see the kids, they would get hit in the head. She would tell them, hey, my dad said don't touch me, don't hit me. And then the teacher would be like, shut up. And then the
Mhm.
principal came in. By the way, wonderful principal. Okay, wonderful principal. The principal came in and she's like, what's going on? Because obviously she can hear the teacher yelling. And so she's like, what's going on? And the teacher's like, nothing, nothing.
Yeah. So our experience, just imagine that, guys. Like I want you to take a second and imagine that. Of course, I go up to the school and say, let me talk to the principal. Let me talk to the headmaster. I think they called it the headmaster, but like, hey, we don't hit our kids at home, so I appreciate it if you tell your teachers don't touch my kid or it's going to be a problem. So that's not okay with me.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand if they do something super crazy, but still, it's not like beating them.
Or even like a hit on the finger on the
Yeah,
hand, like Catholic schools would do, because my
exactly.
mom was raised in a Catholic school. But
Hmm.
the stories where our children are like, yeah, a student today, he got beat with this stick, with this ruler, and he was jumping up and down, and he was in front of the class because the
Hmm.
teacher wanted to make a mockery out of him. And so, even though it wasn't our children that were experiencing that extent of it, it's still traumatizing for children at that age. They're supposed to be focusing on reading, and they up here seeing this student get embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, it's time to homeschool. This is, I don't want to say it in a what's the word I'm looking for, in a condescending way, but it's foolishness. It's
Hmm.
that prideful feeling when somebody gets in a position of power and they're an abusive, prideful person, and you feel like you have to like get something over on someone. And so that's what a lot of African countries deal with, or I'll just say it like this: East African countries, Tanzania specifically, that's a heavy spirit that is dealt with in the people, and it has increased dramatically over time,
Exactly.
from multiple regions.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just one thing that, coming here to Africa, you have to get over. They definitely do things different from the West. So it's really about a mindset thing that for us as African Americans have to realize that, this is something that we have to get over. I'm not saying it's okay to do what they're doing, but you have to control your reactions and stuff like that. But like you were saying, it goes right into our next point about the corruption, because the corruption here in East Africa and I'll just say just the corruption
In Tanzania,
in
yeah.
Tanzania
Tanzania,
that
Uganda, because those are the two countries where it's big right now.
yeah, I'll say Tanzania because that's where we were and what we experienced. So we realized, like, just being outside of Tanzania for almost a year, um, if the headship is very corrupt, it really trickles down to the 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 lowest local person.
Mm.
They gonna try to be corrupt too. So it's certain things that you have to realize what's going on when you come here on a continent.
Mm. That part, yeah. And it's similar in America. Like when you go to a school system, or at least us as parents, we're very like
Mm.
proactive. We're very much in your face, like, what are you doing? What's going on? We're asking questions. We're very much like that as parents, and people in general. We're accountable in that way. And so even in America, like you'll have students. I remember in high school, there's this horrible thing that happened to like a 10th grader. I think you know who I'm talking about. I'm not saying no names. There was a horrible thing that happened with a student and a teacher
Mm.
relations that shouldn't have happened. And so these things happen in America They happen in Tanzania. They happen in these pockets of the world. And if you, as a parent, are too preoccupied with being around other people and not discerning what's around you, your children can be affected and
Mm,
will be affected, whether you're in the West or in Africa or India. So you have to be proactive. You have to understand the dynamics of what's going on. Don't sweep things under the rug. If you are one that likes to put the shade over the abuser and say it's okay, abuser, just keep abusing because that victim, shh, shh, just shh, do more abuse.
mm,
If you're somebody like that, well, you're going to have a hard time in the last days because Yah's judgment is going to rain down, and you're going to find your life to be very difficult because you're entering curses into your life by default by being contrary to the 10 commands. And that's
mm-hmm.
something as Israelites we take with us anywhere we go in the world. And so that foundation should always be our compass. I can identify if I want to stay in a country, if I want to leave a country, if I want to do business here, if I want to do business there, if I want to do so and so with my children. I can identify and gauge that based on the 10 commands.
Exactly. And that like you said it, is really about how you walk and how you be seen. Um, if you're out here, just say like just growing up, I see so many videos about young people doing a lot of stuff that is just too much, right? And I'm talking about young African American, young black
Ooh.
people. They be doing a lot.
Mm,
And I remember being in those situations and thinking it's cool and
mm,
stuff like that. But when you come outside of America and you want to experience Africa and really stay here in Africa, you got to change your mindset. You got to change the way you walk. You got to change the way you talk. You got
yeah.
to change the way people see you because they're going to see you different. Just for example, the other day, right? I'm outside. We just had some dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and we have local dogs around our house.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever extra that we don't eat, I go take it to the local dogs.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm feeding the local dogs, and our neighbor down the street, he comes, he rides by, and he backs up. And he said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" I'm talking. I'm like, "Yes, everything's fine. Yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're from America." And he said, "You're from America?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm from America." He's like, "Whoa, you don't talk like you're from America." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Oh,
He thought
like
you were Jay-Z.
yeah, like that's what he basically say, like black American like rapper or something." And I'm like, "No, I mean, it's the first time meeting him, but it's that mindset
Yeah.
that I could have been offended by that, but I understand people around here where it's like they see us and they think a certain picture of us.
Mm,
So we have to be proactive of talking proper to somebody that's right, our neighbor right down the street.
that's good.
So it's like you really have to change your mind and
Yeah.
understand the rooms that you're in. You wouldn't go in a room and talk slang in a business room. You
Or
have
I
to
hope
you
not.
yeah, I hope not, but it's being yourself, but at a point you have to understand that there's certain levels to every situation.
Mm, that's good.
So when I
Mm,
say mindset, it goes very deep.
yeah.
It goes very deep, and that's every situation that you come across. So
Yeah.
that's just a situation that or a situation that I wanted to explain to you guys
Hmm.
because that's a good experience right there.
It is. It is. That's a good story because it's so interesting. And then you guys, y'all hit it off. Y'all talking about different things to collaborate and show each other different things now. So it's like that humility is so important
Hmm.
for men and women, whether you're a man in Africa or you're a woman in Africa. And then also being assertive. I remember when we first got our first house in Tanzania, our landlord, the way she would talk to like maybe the gardener or the workers, or she would talk to her people that were working, it was very assertive. And we were like, wow, why are we so assertive? And it's
Hmm.
like in Africa, if you are not very clear and assertive and set very clear boundaries, people will take advantage. That's something
Hmm.
we learned. That's something Tanzanians taught us. Like when you see successful Tanzanians, people that are landlords, people that are in these different areas and they're not corrupt, the ones that are not corrupt, because there are some that are not corrupt. So the ones that aren't corrupt, they set these boundaries and they tell people, don't cross this line. If you cross this line, this is going to happen. You're going to be fired. This is going to happen. And that's it. And it's
Hmm.
very, coming from the West, when you see it at first, you'll be like, oh, why do they treat their people like that? But you have got to be assertive in these African countries, okay? You have to be assertive. You have to be clear, because it's
Hmm.
one of those things that people will literally just run over you if you are not very strong, confident, and assertive. I can even say the same thing about the diaspora from the Caribbean, the UK. It's just something with us African people. When you meet people of maybe a different caliber, people tend to just want to push your boundaries, and you have to be very firm and let people know,
Hmm.
you cross this, you get a consequence.
Exactly. Exactly. Really. So you really have to do your research when it comes down to like everything that we're talking about.
Yeah,
And we really believe that, the best research is to be here on the ground moving around.
in multiple countries.
Exactly. So you can understand the culture. For another just a quick story, I want to share this. But another person that I was talking to here, and he was trying to explain to me that, soon as I talk, the price is gonna go up 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at me like I'm just new to this. But we've been doing this for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, yeah, I understand. If we go somewhere, if we're gonna be talking to people and stuff, I'm gonna have you talk. He's like, oh, you know that? I'm like, yeah, because we've been moving around here in
Yeah.
Africa, and that's basically how it is everywhere in Africa. As soon as they
Yeah.
hear that you're American, they see they get money signs in their eyes, like, oh, they got a lot of money. They're like Jay-Z. So it's like you have to do your research. And we really believe the best research is here on the ground. You moving
Mm-hmm.
around, you learning, you going through stuff, and you just overcoming it. Because at the same time, you really trying to grow and heal from the West. So that's going to teach you a lot.
Facts, for sure, yeah. And we really just want you guys to have the fullest picture that you can possible, so that you don't come here overly romanticizing it,
Hmm.
so that you come in, we don't want you to come in naive. You shouldn't come into anything naive. When you come into something, just how you would come if you're a business person, as you would go into business, you want to diagnose and find out what are the weak areas, what are the problems, so I can mitigate my risks when I'm moving to a new country, when I'm traveling about, when I'm doing investing, when I'm looking at schools for our children, when I'm doing whatever it is you're
Hmm.
doing, you want to mitigate your risk, whether it's health, finances, schooling, business. Your mindset has to be, let me find the gaps so that I don't put myself in a position that I don't need to be. I need to find the gaps. I need to find the problems so that I can solve them and then get to the solution so you can live your dream life in Africa, because y'all, after everything, we love Africa. To be honest, we just love Africa. We love the African people. We love ourselves. We love being on the continent for this amount of time. And, we look forward to the journey as the months and years continue to go by. But we do want to help you and share the 10 African countries with the lowest business bribery risks. This is so important. My husband was telling me, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I don't know which one, but you said something. You were like, you know what, with corruption, if you find corruption in one certain area, it seeps into everything else. It seeps into the
Hmm.
school, it seeps into the relationships, it seeps into when you're doing building projects, when you're doing other projects. The bit of corruption and bribery seeps into everything. It seeps in when people are being abusive and doing violent acts. And so you want to look at these 10 countries with the lowest
Hmm.
business bribery risks, because this means that this is also going to be a safe country for you, not only to do business, but to live, okay? The lowest
Hmm.
business bribery risks. So, we're going to read the article from Business Insider Africa because we want you to get the context of what it means. Corruption is one of the biggest headaches for companies around the world because it messes with competition, inflates costs, oh, for sure, and makes trust hard to come by. Whether you're a big corp or a small business, the risk of bribery looms as you try to grow and stay afloat. In Africa, the challenge takes on a complex character. The continent, rich in resources, home to some of the world's fastest growing economies, has vast opportunities, but it's also where the risk of business bribery is notably higher due to weaker institutional oversight, right? Those checks and balances, again, Our people are institutional oversights, the Ten Commands. Remember, discerning the things that you see, you have to be able to discern to come to a proper
Mhm.
conclusion. This creates a delicate balance between seizing opportunities and navigating the ethical and legal pitfalls. Okay, so the top 10 countries with the lowest bribery rates. Now, this was published September 9th, 2024, so it is super recent. Number one, we have Seychelles. Number two, we have South Africa. So many people in state of the diaspora have been gearing up to move to South Africa, do business in
Mhm.
South Africa. By the way, if you want to check out
Go ahead, just keep going.
by the way, if you want to check out the urgent September state of the diaspora, there are 4 slots available, but it closes in 3 days because we actually start September 19th and September 26th. So you can check that out if you're looking to travel, do business, and move in Africa with digital nomad nuances, with startup entrepreneur mindset, with homeschooling, the different finance logistics. This is the know how you need to save yourself sanity and peace of mind and have confidence on your move abroad. So number three, we have Cape Verde, which is in West Africa, an island nation. Number four, we have Lesotho, a small country that is within the South Africa area, but it is a sovereign nation. Then we have Botswana, number five. We know some folks in Botswana. Next, we have Namibia, number six. Namibia just looks I just want to go vacation. Just give me like a month in Namibia. Put me in the cabin where they got like the sand dunes and then the ocean meets the sand. Number seven, they have Mauritius. Mauritius is an island country on the eastern southern area of Africa. Number eight, Ghana. We almost moved to Ghana, y'all. If you didn't know that story, go ahead and look back on our channel and binge all of our videos. Number nine, Senegal. Senegal is a very high one on our list because it's visa free for African Americans,
Mhm.
low corruption index, low on bribe index. Senegal is a vibe from what I'm seeing and hearing. And then Tunisia in North Africa. And so if you're someone that wants to travel to North Africa, apparently they have the lowest business bribery risk in 2024. Now, we can guarantee you that these 10 countries are going to be coming out on top in 2024 and 2025. So we look forward to the way that Africa handles corruption, the way that the righteous in Africa will stand up and put these systems in place, similar to Rwanda, because Rwanda completely shifted from the nature that it was in the 90s. And so it's just such a beautiful time to find your dream life in Africa.
Yes, guys. So this list is very, very important. I hope you guys got some good information out of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. So make sure you like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So we'll talk to you in the next one. Shalom.
Yes, let us know which country you would be most interested in out of this list. Drop it in the comments. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.